Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. We are trying a new speakerphone. Actually, I don't even know. Speaker. Just a regular speaker. Hi! Microphone. That's it.
My name is Sabrina.
Katarina.
This is Welcome to Your Journey. And for all of you that are new here, we usually pick an oracle card and we talk about that card. But we're changing things up this week and forever.
We've been loving the feedback of everybody's comments, everybody's constructive criticism, everything to help us grow and evolve. This is why we started this channel, why we started this podcast, so we can actually grow with you and have these conversations. So yeah, we're going to switch it up.
We're switching up. So what we're going to do is every Wednesday, we're going to still pull the cards, but it's going to be more topical.
It's going to be intentional cards. So we're not actually going to pull them. We're just going to start with an actual topic and stick with that topic because it was an idea that we already had, but I think we're going to bring it out even sooner because the feedback that we've been getting is that you guys love our conversations, but to
like
have it more organized.
Directional.
Like exactly.
To create more of a map. We were all over the map. Now we want to be more.
Which we have an idea with, maybe later on, but I do agree that something a little more intentional, a little more directed. That's not a word, but
directive. But it's okay.
We'll go with it. And
on Saturdays, we're going to come out with a second episode, which is more. It's going to be about. We're both tarot readers, so we're going to do more like we're going to take the tarot journey from the Fool to the World, which is the major arcana. And we're going to take each card and we're going to have our take on it. Like, what do I think the world is? What is the world for her? What is the experience? Everything.
So basically, Saturdays are going to be mini-series of a specific series, which in this case will be the major arcanas of tarot. So if you've always wanted to know how to read it or how to dive deeper into it, we're going to start a mini-series, we will start with the World card, which is actually the last card, and go to the first one and have both of our interpretations. And like this, you can use it for your own benefit, for your own readings, or just for personal knowledge, because the tarot is so much more than just reading the cards.
Yes.
It's a whole journey.
It's a whole journey
in itself.
that we're on.
Exactly. So today
we're talking about. It didn't take us long to figure out what we're going to talk about because we were both feeling this today. Vulnerability, people.
Yes.
So we intentionally went into the cards, into the decks, and I picked from the Lantern Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild, which is one of my favorites, The Strength of Vulnerability. And on the card, it's the power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. Whew, that's deep.
Say that again.
The power lies at the root of the perceived weakness.
Oh,
which is perceived. It makes sense. Yes,
I like that.
And then we opened up two other cards from Oracle of the Seven Energies by Colette Baron Reid, and we found Broken Open and Exposed and Revealed, which is vulnerability. So we're going to go a little deeper into all of these. We're going to share our experiences with them.
And then we're going to ask you guys to share your experience with it also.
And we're going to have key takeaways throughout or at the end so that you can
tell us about your journey.
Tell us about your journey in the comments.
Exactly.
So why is it coming up for you?
Vulnerability? I mean, it's been coming up for a very long time. Vulnerability to me is something that allows us to just keep our hearts a little more open when we're scared or frightened. And vulnerability is the main takeaway, the main key to intimacy, real, true intimacy. Because if you really want to get intimate with someone, it's showing them all sides of yourself, all the darker parts or the weaknesses, basically, like the card says, right? Nobody wants to show our weaknesses. Perceived, exactly, which are gems, which are blessings, because this is what helps us to become stronger. So for me, basically, vulnerability this week was based on specific triggers. I can't think of them right now, but I do know the feelings that I was getting. And what happens when we get triggered, our automatic nervous, like our nervous system gets triggered, right? You could get one of three reactions: fight, flight, or freeze, unless you're grounded and conscious enough to actually see the trigger and then see what response you have. And usually one person will have more prominent response than the others. For me, it has always been flight. For me, and I can remember up until I was like a kid,
a child, yeah,
where something would happen and I would not want to stay there. I would just want to leave and just be alone, which sometimes is good. But then when you're avoiding the situation, avoiding the subject, and you're not able to come back to it, then it becomes more of a nuisance and it's harder for you to grow and expand.
That's an interesting what you bring up, because as a child, especially, and if you start that cycle as a child, like running away from the vulnerability or the issue or the resistance or the fear or whatever that is, you then develop a behavioral pattern, right? And that it translates into your relationships and into your job, and I can't deal, I gotta go. And it's like, as a child, you're not cognizant enough to understand
what's going on
and how to go back to it, right? As an adult, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna go back to it and I'm gonna go and talk to them about it. But if you've already kind of created this pattern, it's just more challenging. So that's like and most of us do that. Like for me, it's more freeze. I mean, flight is I can recognize. Fight as well, but I can recognize. I can resonate with all three of them,
which is okay too.
Because like as a teenager, not within my family unit, but with strangers, I was fight. If someone said something, I was like, boom, defense. Like, what do you mean? Like, who the fuck and who the F do you think you are? Blah, blah, blah. Within my family, never fight. I was a wallflower.
That was a freeze?
I was freeze. I was just like numb. Completely.
Very interesting. Because I feel you too, because I see myself doing that. But I'll finish first, and then I'll add on to that.
No, you just continue.
Well, it was just, the only thing I was going to add on to that is that fight, I can recognize it more. Freeze, not so much. But I realized after you saying that the flight is the one that I had the most trouble with facing. The fighting, I could be like, okay, my ego's coming up, my defensive system's coming up, and I was able to kind of not attack it, but confront it. But the flight, I have more trouble confronting.
Really? It's like easier to run.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, isn't it easier to run? Everyone, like even at this moment in time, like while we're talking, is it coming up for you? Like, is there something coming up for you? Like, because like in every area, the vulnerability is a huge one, especially everyone on this journey to me, because I feel like you want to be as open as possible, but vulnerable is like being completely transparent and showing people that, yeah, I have a freaking ego, and yeah, my ego like controls me. Yes, it does, because I've lived with this ego for 55 years and she's lived with whatever years. And it's like, you can't deny that it's there to me. And vulnerability has been, it's plays with my ego, right? Obviously it plays with my heart, like everything. My heart is like, yo, come on, you know this. And that's what I was, let me talk about this morning, because this morning I wake up, last night I went to see my family, and they brought up like old feelings of worthlessness, maybe. But I don't blame them, but they just bring this up to me, this feeling of I have a competition. Like I have to compete with my siblings. Like I'm not where my father might want me to be at a certain level. But
in terms of the 3D world.
In terms of the matrix world, right? And it's interesting because like as soon as I left and I was in my car driving home, that all went away. Kind of thing, but it's still there. It's like lingers, right? So the fact that it's still coming up for me, it's like huge, because it's like it's something that needs to clear my vessel, and I'm very aware of it.
Clearing out the vessel.
Yeah. Clearing out the vessel.
Yeah.
which brings a lot of things. I could talk forever on this, so you can cut in time because I have like.
Well, I mean, we're gonna dive in.
I know.
One thing I wanted to add on to that was just how the vulnerability is always one topic that not a lot of people talk about. We're not trained or taught or it's, especially in our generations, it was always, don't show your feelings. You're not supposed to show your feelings. You're not supposed to be vulnerable. You're supposed to show your strength. And not show any weakness, because weakness is bad. So it's normal that when you hear vulnerability, there's a trigger right away. And but you were talking also about flight. You were talking about how fighting was more in terms of strangers. Freeze was more in terms of family. But then where was your flight?
Flight was my friendships.
Really?
Yes, I was that person that when things were not aligning, Sabrina's out the door. She's even ghosting. Yes, I ghosted people. Like this is me being like completely raw, and I find that that's what I love about being with Katarina, because she brings that out in me too, because she also is. We are two raw people coming together, but we see things differently, and you bring this up. You make me feel comfortable enough to say it.
It's super important.
And all of you followers too, by the way, that leave comments, you're so transparent in your comments, and it's like a blessing for us, by the way. So thank you so much to be in our tribe.
100%. And that also is
and to me sorry.
No, it's okay.
To be a leader is to be transparent, right? It's not about transparent of like this matrix world. It's really being you. And I think that's why you're here anyways, because we're very raw. There's no like.
But vulnerability is key for growth, but not only for individuals, but also society. I feel like there's too much masks that's been put on, too much illusions. We've been, and we're breaking free from that. Whether you want to or not, it's going to happen. Like people talk about this new earth, new this. I think it's just the liberation of
like you said.
Yeah, the liberation of an old way of doing things and entering something new. But we can't enter something new if we can't be honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't be honest with ourselves, and therefore everybody around us. Sabrina is one of the people that I know that is happy to show herself. And even if she resists, okay, maybe with me, I have a way of holding space, and that takes practice. And that's one thing that I want to actually talk about, because not a lot of people really know how to hold space for vulnerability, because it's so triggering. It's so uncomfortable to witness somebody in their vulnerability. And I think it's so important to be able to, one, witness ourselves in our vulnerability, not lie to ourselves, because it creates such a release. It creates such a letting go. And we always talk about letting go, right? Letting go. What is letting go? Letting go is being vulnerable. Showing your ego to people, but being honest about it. It's like, you know what, this is my ego right now, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and you know what is beautiful? It's like when you're vulnerable with people, and like she said, 80% of people like responding
a lot
to vulnerability.
I was one of them, so don't worry.
Uncomfortable. Like they're like, but to me that opens up something, because I truly believe I am the mirror. I when I say I, we are the mirror to the matrix, to the earth, to Mother Earth. Mother Earth is just my mirror. So if I'm vulnerable and I've just made this person uncomfortable, it's fine, right? Because she or he will have to work through that.
Because you're breaking them open.
Because I'm breaking it open.
You're breaking it open. And that's what vulnerability does.
It becomes like, okay, she was like, we do that, right? Oh my gosh, that girl was vulnerable, or he was vulnerable. I can be vulnerable a little bit. I can be a little bit more, like it just opens it up.
You're giving people permission.
Yes.
Permission to just open up, but also you're planting the seeds, because how many times I've had a lot of people where I have triggered them, and then they don't talk to me for like a week, 2 weeks, and then they come back. It's like, you know what? Thank you for doing that. Thank you, because I had to actually look at myself and actually like sink into that. Because it's funny, because this week I was talking with a friend, and we were talking about kindness, but
Kill them with kindness. Yeah, okay, go. That's my thing. Yeah, go.
It wasn't, and no, it's good that you talk because it helps me think. So don't worry about it. Don't ever apologize for that. We were talking about, and it's come up a couple of times also the week before, where this whole concept of being nice, holding the peace to be nice, but things can't change if you're just nice all the time. And sometimes you need to tell that person, like, no, this is where boundaries and discernment and all that come into play. And when you're throwing those bombs, sometimes that's what they need. And it's actually a disfavor when you're holding the peace, when in reality, chaos needs to break loose. So people could be a little shaken. I'm not saying to, like, go and traumatize people, but shake them up a little with your nose. No, I'm not gonna let you do this, or no, I'm not gonna do that thing that you need me to do at this moment, and like shake them up a little so they could face whatever's going on.
But at the same time, right, we're not here to help others, right? We could be guiding lights to everybody. Like right now we're helping, perhaps we're like opening eyes, we're making you more aware, or making you like look inside and question yourself or whatever. But I lost my train of thought.
Well, basically what I was going to add to that is,
wow,
basically,
fun conversation.
Don't deny yourself your integrity or your truth for holding the peace, because you're actually doing people a disfavor. A disservice, exactly, a disservice. Because one, you're not being honest and truthful, so it gives this energetic just intention that other people can't be honest and truthful with you if you can't do that with them. And also, it doesn't help the situation if the situation needs to change in one way or another.
It's like walking on eggshells. To me, I feel like for the past 4 years, since 2020, it's like I've heard this come up so many times. Well, it's out of respect for this person that we should, which I hate the should, the most limitational word. We're creating our own vocabulary.
I love it.
Word ever, shoulds. But anyways, like be like this with this person because they're older, because they're young, they're this, and it's like, no, man. This is like vulnerability is like being completely truthful. Like, what is truthful, right? Just completely open, exposed, right? Exposed and revealed. Exposed and revealed. It's really exposing your weaknesses. I'm putting them in parentheses if you're listening to on the podcast. In your, like, the polarities of your like, what's a good word? What's another word I can use?
For exposed?
Weakness and your bad behavior and, all of this. And it's just like, it's a label again, right? It's again, like vulnerability is a label too, but it's just like a labels of, I don't know. I just feel like we need to just be.
It basically comes back down to being liberated. It's like,
just
if you constantly
free of all the labels.
Well, if you're just completely truthful and you're showing that truth, you're absolutely free. You're liberated because you don't care really what other people say. And on the same time,
yeah, caring what people say, man, that's a big one.
And on the same time, the beauty of this also is that you start learning who you can actually be extremely vulnerable with. Because if you're in a toxic relationship and you have people that use that against you, use your vulnerability against you, that's when it hurts the most. That's when it's scary the most. But it's part of the learning process of like, oh, okay, this type of people, I don't want them in my life. It helps to weed off also the people that are ready to see your truth and be with you at your full potential, at your truth.
That's where awareness comes in.
Awareness and discernment and boundaries.
Fully aware of yourself or your, because when you're vulnerable, then you know the weakness or whatever it is, but you won't allow someone to squash you, and you won't allow someone to speak back at you. You won't allow these things because you're like, no, man, like. Right?
It makes me think of, I don't know if you remember what is it called? The Long Mile, the one with Eminem.
Oh, 8 Mile.
The 8 Miles, 8 miles, I think. Where at the end, where they have that battle, he's saying all of his weaknesses because they can't use it against him anymore.
That's a great one.
You know what I mean? That's exactly what I was thinking about. I found that so powerful. Recently I saw it and I'm like, oh yeah, it's true. When you expose yourself and you really truly expose yourself and you keep yourself open, you've liberated yourself from any masks, your own impositions, your own imposed ideas of yourself, societies, friendships, and cultural, all that, and you're actually free, and nobody can control you anymore. They can't control you emotionally. They can't control you because it's like, yes, I'm weak in this and that's okay.
And you're like, okay,
I love myself even if I'm weak. Or even if...
But what is weak, right? Like, that's the thing.
100%. But we're still in this 3D reality, right? So we're going to have to use these words. We're going to use these words. But yes, it's true.
We can use these words. But still bringing this up.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the way I'm thinking, right, in my head. So, it's just like being...
And what is weakness to you, actually?
Yeah.
I want to know.
That's a big one.
What is
weakness?
I'm going to burn my hair. And what is weakness? But just an opportunity for us to love ourselves even deeper.
Because if you were asked me what weakness was like 5 years ago, it would be completely different than what I think of now. Because I think weakness is your strength. To me, like your weakness of being, what's a weakness? I don't know. What's a weakness to you?
But being your strength, because I have trouble with that.
Yeah?
Because I'm not there yet. I know it is, but I'm not there yet.
Because for me, everything that I struggle with is my strength.
Like
what? I realize because for me, it's an inversion. So weakness to me, like what weakness?
Like entropy, a little bit.
Entropy. Let's talk about entropy. It's a new word for the new word of the day, and I brought the definition.
Okay, but does it have to do with this though?
Entropy is a really good one.
Well, like what your limitations to strength?
Okay, so I'll speak.
I want to hear this.
I want to explain entropy.
I need some information.
It's a measure of the disorder or unavailability of energy within a closed system. More entropy means less energy available for doing work. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit what entropy is, because
but does this tie into the weakness?
Yes, because that was my vulnerable moment last night. I went into like entropy. I had to harness entropy. Entropy is like an energy of I'm feeling lesser than. I feel like that could be a weakness. I'm feeling unworthy. That could consider a weakness as well. And I felt that as I left my father's home. Not to blame my father at all. It was just an energy coming up. And I got home and I was feeling a little strange because my ego at that moment was like, yo, you are that. You are that. And entropy is like you not allowing that ego to fully infiltrate your system. The closed system is the ego, not the lower ego. And it's like, stop trying to figure out why you're feeling like this. Stop trying to understand or understand or overstand why you're feeling this way, why this like is coming up. Can you just allow it to flow through you? Like, I know it's like very challenging and triggering for people. They're like, what do you mean? They're like, how is it going to just flow through me, Sabrina? I'm like, because you're not engaging the lower ego by trying to figure out why it is. And oh my God, when would this happen? It would happen when I was 7 years old. And like, try not to attach too much to that. Like, you could see it come up and say, oh yeah, fuck, this is coming up from when I was 12 years old or 15 years old, whatever. But I'm not going to attach to it. Instead, I'm going to allow it to flow. Entropy means that you just don't freaking engage with the ego.
Don't let your mind take over.
And it's just like it's like more entropy means less energy available for doing the work, right? So there's no energy being put on this like release. And that's what was happening to me last night. I was like, I'm showing my bedroom. That was happening to me in my bed last night. I was like I was telling her this morning, I was like, there's knowing, wisdom, and feeling. My feeling, I was feeling vulnerable. I was feeling insecure. But my inner wisdom was so much stronger than this, I was a little unbalanced a little bit. It was like really strange to me. I was like, oh, I can't even explain it to you, but I know that I am worthy. And I know that I have much more to give to this world. So like instead of like a job or whatever, or money or pension, which came up, at the conversation, but it's like, so there's like, it's a beautiful feeling. And that's that vulnerability. I was like able to expose, I'm like in, I don't know. It's really like being able to trust my, the wisdom, the inner wisdom, and being able to see that feeling of insecurity and that feeling of unworthiness and saying, oh, this is really not who I am. It's just a separate entity, right? It's just something that I've experienced in my human experience in my childhood. And now it's here and I don't need to attach to it. I could see it and I could love it and I could forgive it, but I don't need it because I know that I am worthy.
So basically what I'm hearing is that
thank you for listening.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful because basically to me what I'm hearing is that it's giving you an opportunity and giving all of us an opportunity to actually state our worthiness, like an opportunity to now translate the knowledge into wisdom. Like an apply this idea of like, oh, it's like unconditional love. You can't love yourself if somebody doesn't stab you in the back. That's what I usually say. It's like you can't fully, really, truly, unconditionally love yourself if you don't have these opportunities of challenges or people in your life that question your lovability, question your worthiness. And in this case, it's question your worthiness and questioning your knowingness of like, no, this is not who I am. This is who I am. But thank you for giving me this opportunity to strengthen this knowingness, to transmute this. And this is where transmuting is just right away, not translating, but changing. Not even changing.
Becoming aware.
It's like loving it to death, practically.
Becoming aware and loving it to death. That's a good one. Yeah, loving it to death.
Loving it to death. Like, okay, I see that you're feeling like that, and it's okay that you're feeling like this. It's okay if you feel unworthy. I still love myself, even if I feel unworthy. I still love myself, even if I don't have that thing, that pension, that plan, that
whatever,
anything. I still gonna love myself, and I'm still gonna claim and know and practice this opportunity of knowing that I'm worthy, even if I don't feel like it sometimes. That makes sense?
It does. It's beautiful. I love it. She just explained everything I just said in a beautiful way because she's more colorful than me.
I just translated it in not translated it, I just like summarized it. That's the word I'm looking for. Summarize.
I don't know. For me, it's like we are walking through this storm, right? We're walking through like a collapse of an old energy. And as we walk through this energy, like she had brought up in the 4th episode, the one right before this one?
4th.
No. Anyways, whenever.
But what is it?
The 4th episode, you talked about the cow and the bull.
Ah, yeah.
The cow going through
4th
and
episode.
the bull going through and the cow getting stuck in the thing.
Like, yeah, basically facing the storm or running away from it. Because a bull...
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The bull was fighting and the cow was full. Anyway. But
is it fighting or is it facing? I don't know, because the bull is not really fighting the storm. It's just facing it and going through it.
Fighting is facing, right? You're like you're confrontational.
I don't think so, because you can face something without being confrontational and just be like, hey, okay, I noticed this. Could we talk about it? Could we sit down? Could we actually, because and going back to intimacy too, if you want a really intimate connection, you need to go through these storms. And the difference between, again, facing and fighting, if you're just fighting, there's no room for,
you're right.
There's no room for growth, because fighting is just fighting. You're just fighting. It's your egos. Actually, I see it as egos. But facing, normally, and it's funny because I was just listening to something in regards to this intimacy. You need to have challenges. You need to have things that are going to come and bring shit up, so you can deepen into this vulnerability and deepen into this love, because now you're exposed and like, oh wow, yes, like you're exposed and I still love you.
That's such a big thing that we're going to have to talk about that in relationships and love, because this is huge, because being vulnerable in a relationship is being 100% you. Not, and I always talk about this in my other little videos about compromise. Promise against the promise. Like for me, compromise doesn't exist. And I was like, hey, I know you can like lash back at me, whatever, but I'm not here to compromise for anybody. Oh, and that's why you're single, maybe. But I'm here to be me. If you don't love me the way I am, then we're not the fit. Well, I'm not gonna compromise. I'm not gonna like whatever. I don't know what compromise you can do. There's so many compromises you can do. And if he is compromising, I don't want that. I want someone completely pure. And that's why I feel relationships take on it's better when you're a little older, right? Because
it can be,
but it can be.
But you need the younger ones. You need to get do your trial and errors to know what you really want. That's the whole point in your 20s and teenagers and all that.
It's all the human experience.
100%.
But it's true. It's so like,
and it's different. It's like when you're doing something for somebody out of pure love, you're not compromising yourself.
Exactly.
You know, that's different. A lot of people think you need to compromise oneself to give this love. But the truth is, if you're giving out of this love, you're not compromising yourself. This is a joy, and it's slightly different, but we'll talk about this more in relationship or love episode.
Yeah.
But I do also just want to make clear that we're not talking about, again, if you're in a toxic relationship or abusive relationship, really abusive. I don't like to use toxic because I feel like it's been overused, but abusive. If you have somebody that really use your vulnerability against you, you're not in the right place. It's again, these relationships are here to teach us who we can give this great love to and who is ready for this great love versus those who are not ready for these great loves, and who's ready to see us in our fullness. Not everybody's ready to see us in our fullness, and it's okay. It's okay, exactly. To not take it personally.
And stop making excuses. That's another one.
Well, I feel like loving yourself enough to say this, I won't allow this, right? Super important, because, we're talking about being vulnerable and like being honest, but some people are not ready. And to be okay with that, right? And this is where keeping your heart open, and to the point when you're truly free, going back to what I was saying, you're truly free when you could expose yourself and not get the reaction that you were looking for and still be okay with yourself, right? That's true unconditional love. Not caring about what other people think. Yeah. Not allowing other people to use that vulnerability, because it comes back down to that. You don't allow people to use that vulnerability against you. So, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to. Well, that's good enough.
Yeah. You wanted to go on?
No. It's just, I really want to be clear that if you're in an abusive relationship, don't stay in it. Yeah.
But that's very, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of vulnerability, I mean, like, sometimes we think we have to be vulnerable, but if we're getting very negative feedback all the time, continuously, that could be very counterintuitive. That's not self-love. Anyways, that's another subject. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like, it's like vulnerability brings up a lot of resistance. A lot of resistance shows up. A lot of fear comes up because of vulnerability. I mean, a lot of that, and that is again beautiful to me, because that's like that exposure to that. You're like, oh, whenever I feel uncomfortable, like she knows this, when I feel uncomfortable, I don't really like it in the present moment, but I love it. I freaking love it, and I go under my blanket and I freaking feel it, and it's amazing. You're like, oh, what is this, you know? And it's like it's just like this part of me that's coming out, and a lot of times my vulnerability shows up in front of strangers, people, and it is what it is.
That's beautiful,
right?
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I have, yeah.
It's not it. I mean, also, like, you know, yeah, this is the process, man. This is the journey. This is the journey. I don't know. I would love to know where you guys are at with this.
It's definitely like a big one on the journey, because it's the one that keeps us the closest to our true self.
And, you know, but also keeps us in the box a little bit, right?
What do you mean?
It keeps us from evolving.
Oh, you mean like it prevents us from stepping outside of the box.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because like in this matrix world, vulnerability is a little bit weak, right? Like, oh, you're not, like, to actually tell someone, I feel weak today. I feel really like, I don't think I can do this. I feel unworthy. I feel like this. Because whether you feel worthy or unworthy, they're both like labels. It's just a polarity. It's the same thing. Whether you feel worthy, unworthy, it's the same. You're still feeling the same thing. You're still feeling that feel.
I like that. In terms of like, if you would have any suggestions on how to be vulnerable with others, what would be one thing that you can suggest? Because this is something that I still have trouble with. I mean, yeah.
Like
there's still a lot of
like being vulnerable with others. Like if you're not vulnerable, it's because you're pleasing someone. Can you step away from that, protecting them?
No,
or protecting yourself.
For me, it was always self.
But it's like, well, I think it's one and the same. Like you want to protect them, protect yourself, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Like you have to be able, like not have to, but it's important to be okay with whatever coming out of your mouth. It's okay. You have to be okay with it. You have to be like, you have to love everything, like every word, every action.
Okay, but when you're in front of strangers and you say your vulnerability comes out, how does it come out?
Like my vulnerability comes out, but like they ask me a question.
Yeah.
And maybe Sabrina of 10 years ago would have answered according to the people.
Okay.
I judge, like I can easily judge everyone and say but now they ask me questions and I'm completely like full flown, unfiltered, and they all like are triggered by me, like 100%.
Like give me one example of unfiltered.
Wow, I have to think about that.
Like you would say something along the lines of like, and this is something, if you guys have an idea, because I know there's surface vulnerability where you say, oh, I'm not feeling good today. And then there's real vulnerability where you say, I'm not feeling good today because of this. And that exposure of why you're not feeling good today is ammo for the other person to use, right? Mm-hmm. There's just, because I could be vulnerable in that sense.
Like let's just say one of the biggest things for me is like my body image, and a lot of people know this, right? Let's say someone asks me, how are you feeling today? I'm like, I feel ugly. I feel really like I feel very overweight and disgusting, whatever. And like, that's very triggering for people. And they're like, oh, how do you respond to that? No, you're so beautiful, whatever, right? But it's like really real. This is what I feel, right? I know, like that's what is the feeling and the knowing this morning. Like I was feeling ugly. I'm feeling ugly. But my knowing, I know I'm beautiful, is so much greater than the feeling of it. That's where I'm seeing that like that unbalanced kind of thing. My knowing is like, you're so beautiful, Sabrina. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, because I'm able to see Sabrina as a character.
Her true essence of her beauty.
Yeah, but my ego or my whatever is feeling ugly. And for me to say that to somebody, it's very, but I say it. Like, I am, that's like huge for me, because before I would just hide behind it, right? And I wouldn't say that out loud to people.
And
go.
No, go ahead.
No, because it's triggering to people, and also it's because people don't know how to deal. I guess I'm so over that. I'm over it. I want people to be like that with me. And I have like tons of comments that come in that where people are very open. It's kind of beautiful. It opens up the conversation, but it also opens up, like I said, where the mirrors, it opens up the world. The more we keep inside, the more war happens in the world. Like, it's always so clear to me. Like, let's like release.
Yeah, it's like
release the energies.
If everything is a reflection of us, if the society is a reflection of us, and now we've been seeing a lot of things being exposed, and I do believe a big part is because people are actually looking and exposing themselves to at least themselves. You don't have to, as long as you're honest with yourself, the rest will follow. And I want to go back to like holding space. Exactly. How do you hold space for somebody that's being vulnerable with themselves? I mean, for me, a big one is just listening, but not listening with the intention of comforting the person. Or actually the one of the best things you can do when somebody's really truly being vulnerable is ask these 3 questions. Hey, well, what do you need from me right now? Do you need me just to listen? Do you need me to find a solution or comfort you? Or do you just need a hug? Right? Being very, very honest with like, okay, I hear you. What do you need from me? Because when we're triggered, we go right away into fixed mode or defensive mode. So before we even get into those modes, hey, what do you need from me? Like, do you just need me to listen right now? Because I can do that. And just holding space without any intention at all, just really. And the best way to listen is to, one exercise you can do is just look at the person's face, but really look at it. Look at her eyes, look at her nose, look at her mouth while she's talking. Because then it will distract you from, oh, I should say this, I should say that.
Fixing.
Exactly. So really, truly listening, or really asking.
The art of listening.
And I've noticed that people don't know how to speak their needs or say what they need at that moment. That's why they just explode, or they say, bah, 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 and then it's like, they don't know how to say, hey, I just need you to listen to me right now. Can you do that? And for people who want to be vulnerable, if you want to be vulnerable, also very important to ask that person, hey, I really have big, intense emotions right now. Do you have that space for me? Because that person could be going through a lot of things too, right? So it's finding really, 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 truly starting to express our needs and listening.
I love it. And there's like another thing I'm going to bring up before we end this episode is like the I know people. That is such a the I know people?
No.
The people that like you tell them something, they're like, I know. I know.
Yeah. I mean, I do it too sometimes.
Yeah, but that is where that's why me too. I used to do that a long time ago. I know. Like, and I would go back home and I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, that's so dishonoring of the soul, right? Like, it's like vulnerability is like saying, yeah, I don't know. I have no freaking idea what you're talking about.
And then,
like, especially in the spiritual world, people come up to me, they're like, Sabrina, what does the Knight of Pentacles really mean to you? Whatever, blah, and they say, I don't know. And that there's like what do you mean you don't know? Like, you're the tarot expert. I'm like, I'm not an expert. Like, I just don't know, right? Like, I got to tell you, though, the I don't know is the most liberating feeling ever. When someone says, do you know this? I don't know. And my higher self is like, celebrating. Yeah, you don't know, man. Because, no, you don't know fuck all, Sabrina. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know anything.
The more we know, the more we don't know.
Right? Because we don't know anything, really. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. That was funny. I don't know.
The I knows. And it always goes back.
I'm writing down episode ideas. I don't know.
I love it. But what I was going to add to that too is the I don't knows, or the I knows. Why do you feel the need to know? Right? Why do you feel the need to have to put on this mask on? It comes back to the mask. Why do you feel like you need to know everything? What are you trying to hide against? Or what are you hiding from? You're hiding from, again, your unworthiness, your feeling of belonging. And belonging is a big one.
Stupid.
Fears of being stupid, or
not educated, not like, it's like, who cares? At the end of the day.
Can you love yourself even if you feel uneducated, if you feel Stupid.
Like, what is stupid?
Stupid is a big one. Stupid was a big one for me. For me, it was like, oof, that was a hard one. Not
like,
hard,
but
just
you admit to being jealous? Like, there's so many
emotional,
things,
yeah.
you know. Like, I'm jealous. Like, I used to do that to my boyfriend. I'm jealous of you. Like, I'm jealous. Like, why are you with this girl? Like, why are you talking to this girl like this? Right? It's very uncomfortable, but it's like, no. Like, and when I was younger, I probably, I would bring it up. Anyways, those things I would bring up, but certain things you don't, right? And you know what? When you don't bring things up, it festers in the physical form, and then it turns into ulcers, and it turns into, you know, blah blah blah.
100%. So. Instead of just being honest and being like, I don't know why I feel jealous, I just feel jealous, or you know why you feel jealous, and you know, it's just again why you're upholding the mask. Why do we keep upholding these masks that are not really ourselves? And you know,
there's so much we can take this.
I know
all of the topics that we put aside.
I know. But I think this is good for today.
I think
this is lovely. I think this is perfect. And we will give you some takeaways because I think it's a great idea. Someone suggested it, and yes, 100%. And we have 3 of them.
Yeah.
So the first one I would say, what is your tendency? Is it fight, flight, or freeze?
Or facing.
Or facing, yeah. Yeah, it's true. Fight, flight, or freeze, or face. Are you someone who will face the fears, specifically when it comes to vulnerability? Will you face it, or will you fight, or will you flight? Will you run away, or will you freeze? And then
what area are you more challenged? What area is more challenging to be more vulnerable? Like, what area in your life? Is it your relationship? Is it with your boss or your colleagues, your friends, your family? Like, there's so many areas of our life, right? Or even just with yourself.
Yeah. Is it motherhood? Is it 100%? Yeah. And then the third one would be, where can you be more vulnerable in your life, and how can you apply it? Yeah. So that's like, those are 3 big ones.
They're big. This is big. Vulnerability. We chose to start with this one because it's huge.
It's
like it's a big overtaking. It's understanding of vulnerability. When you understand this, for me, it's just like freeing, like we've talked about. It really is. It's
keeping your heart open. It's really keeping your heart exposed enough. Having the courage to have your heart exposed. You know, it takes it takes a lot of courage to have an open heart. And when you keep your heart open, your heart has one of the biggest magnetic fields. It's even larger than the mind's magnetic field. And this is actually proven. Science has took calculations, and the only reason why they couldn't even go further than they could have is because the technology now is too limiting. So they don't even know how far it could go, but they know it's further than the mind's magnetic field.
Well, the heart is Earth.
It's also your first organ.
That's like, she's talking scientific, but the heart is energetically this whole like magnetosphere, right? It's all of this Earth to me. To me, it's the heart.
What do you mean?
The heart chakra. To me, it's like everywhere.
Interesting.
We are the heart. We are in the heart.
Like Earth is the heart?
Yeah. And the mind is something we learn. It's learned in the Earth experience.
Well, I mean, it's the first organ that is actually created in the womb, right? It's the first organ. So, I mean, it says a lot. For it to be the first organ that was ever created before your brain, before your body, before any other parts. It's the heart. So it's normal to feel first with the heart, and then that is translated in your mind, right? And then if your magnetic field, if it's open, that means your magnetic field could go and feel at a larger
infinity and beyond.
Exactly.
Like what's his name in the Toy Story?
Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear.
Infinity and beyond.
But yeah, so you feel first with your heart, but your heart needs to be open because
we don't feel with our heart, but that's okay. That's another story.
Well, but I mean with the magnetic field.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll talk about it now then.
No,
if you want to talk about it.
No, I want to talk about it.
Why not?
Well,
anyways, all I want to say is that your magnetic field is created. There's a larger magnetic field with the heart. And if you have your heart closed, that means your magnetic field is a lot smaller and condensed, and you're not feeling as much, basically. So open heart, magnetic field larger, you can feel the vibrations and then feel everything and maybe even potential dangers with an open heart.
Surgery.
Everything.
don't.
I guess we're leaving it at that. I guess this is it.
Yeah,
this is how we're ending it.
I hope you enjoyed it. I did enjoy this one. Our new setup is good, actually. I like it better.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you for your comments and keep them coming.
Yep.
And let us know in the comment section.
Yep.
The 3 takeaways. What is your tendency? What are your where are you more challenged in being? What area? Being more vulnerable, and where can you be more vulnerable, and how can you apply it?
All right. We'll see you next week, or you'll hear us next week, however you're watching. Also, Saturday.
We still have 2 more episodes with the ones that we pull before we start our mini series, right? We're gonna put those on Saturday.
But this one,
this was on Wednesday.
But this is Wednesday that comes out this next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we're having our own little internal discussion, but whatever.
That you're a part of.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
All right. I love you. Bye.
Freaking honking at the end. Thank you.
But we can end that.